everybody. Welcome to the call. So excited for today's call. This is going to be a high impact call. We'll get started here in just a second. Um, we're going to kick things off with talking about sharing a new resource for everyone that we're announcing today. And then we'll start pulling in some people. I see Jacqueline, Abdel. Thanks for being on. And yeah, we're gonna talk impact on today's Impact Masterclass. Dave, anything you want to kick us off with?
Just a reminder to everyone that we like to make these things as interactive as possible. So use the little reactions at the bottom, whatever's on your mind, like little feedback's nice. And then the chat, ask questions. If you have some stories that you want to make sure get shared, let us know in chat. But it's exciting. I've seen firsthand some of the new things Kristen's bringing to market. We brought the website out a month or so ago, and it just keeps getting better. So back to you, Kristen.
Cool. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. And yeah, like we said, this is designed to be interactive. We want to hear from you. I've asked a couple of people to join and share what they've been doing lately and some examples of impact in education that they have been doing in their community and markets. But I want to kick us off first by sharing a little context for why we are launching this new Learn portal that I'm going to share with you guys, and how you can make use of it for your markets. And by the way, the title of today's session is How to Become the First-Time Homebuyer Mayor of Your Database and Community. So we'll have some, again, have some ambassadors talk about what that looks like for them, but want to, for you guys all on the call to be thinking about what that looks like, whether you have examples you can share or questions you want to ask that can help to continue to refine what this looks like for our First Home IQ community. So, I'm going to start by sharing a few slides I pulled together. These are just from a recent presentation that I did, and the presentation was on decision fatigue, and I thought this really encapsulates a lot of why I thought we need new education. Or the way that we're delivering first home IQ education. And I will say, for context too, we've done research reports, surveyed over 9,000 millennials and Gen Z. I've spent the last 15 years doing some sort of research and user experience design around what it looks like to reach the next generation of buyers, and continually. Yes, education is a factor. Yes, there's so much misinformation out there, but there's also a huge challenge around actually getting people to take action on that education. And I'm sure, many of you have seen this now more than ever. And this has all, been the case the last 15 years, at least for me. But especially now in the age of AI, we see this constant kind of friction around you get information and then you shut down. So I'm going to share a few slides before I share what our solution is around that. So first of all, there's a lot of distrust. So there's the lack of education, but then there's people don't want to reach out to an expert to ask for information. Someone on just the last call that Dave mentioned we were on, it was someone talking about how you don't really want to go to the mechanic to ask about your flat tire because the mechanic is going to sell you a tire. And first of all, you don't know a mechanic, and then secondly, when you go to one, you distrust that they're actually going to they're just going to sell you a tire. And I think what we found in this year's research is that people feel the same way about loan officers and real estate agents. I put LOs here, but it's LOs and real estate agents that we found that there's this fear of being taken advantage of. So you don't have the education yourself, and then you go into this kind of distrust. So then the consumer goes, okay, well, I've got AI, I've got the internet, I can do some research on my own and half trust AI as much or more than humans for creating a home buying plan, which I'll come back to the positive side of that. But you know, what happens is they get a bunch of information and then they get overwhelmed. So 6 in 10 feel overwhelmed by home buying information. And what that results in is avoidance. So they're overwhelmed with the information and then they're avoiding talking to a financial professional when they really wanted to. They're avoiding talking, making important financial decisions. And this is of those who are self-aware enough to report that, yes, it was overwhelm and now I'm delaying decisions. So the conclusion that we can draw from this is that there's a huge amount of the market that actually could buy a home today, or if they could buy a home, we wouldn't know about it because they are stuck in this avoidance. And one quick study I wanted to mention that just kind of goes to emphasize how important overwhelm is in thinking about all of this. There's a study, this was a long time ago, 1999, last time the Knicks were in the finals, and the mental load changes. This is a Stanford cake or fruit experiment. So group A was given only 2 digits to remember, and group B was given 7 digits to remember, and then they were both given options for food. The group A with only 2 digits chose fruit salad. Group B chose cake twice as often, which I think, you know, all of us have been tired or overwhelmed and been like, yeah, give me the sugar. I mean, it's just, we're not going to make as clear of decisions of we're not going to be able to think long term because our brain is maxed out. And so you think about what is happening in today's, you know, AI environment, overwhelm, all of that. We often are feeling like I can't think about the big picture when it comes to buying a home. So, you know, that results in what we call decision fatigue. Yes, we lack the education. We've talked a lot about that here, but it's what we've been built on. But it's also more than that. It's the skepticism, it's the overload, it's the avoidance. And so that is why we decided to launch First Home IQ's Learn platform that goes beyond just delivering I'm gonna pull it up here. Goes beyond just delivering a bunch of courses, which we did change how our courses look, and I'm gonna show you guys that before I open this up to everybody. But so the idea was that we, yes, have the option to explore resources. And I'm gonna walk through what that looks like. But we also have an option to start my homeownership plan. And this is walking through using a framework that I teach in all of our my speaking engagements too. It's helping guide people without giving them too much at one moment. So it's where are you in this journey? I'm just thinking about it. And then one thing in the a trust framework that I use a lot that's based off of kind of trauma-informed care in social work is you want to always tune in to how people are feeling, like what is the biggest pain point. And so if you choose any number of these, it's going to point you in a certain direction when you get the plan. So let's say have too much debt. That's my biggest concern. And then why do you want to own a home? Your why and relating to what matters, which is another component of that framework, is important too because it also drives it allows us to build some motivation. So maybe it's stability and security for my family. Okay, looks good. Build my plan. And then you've got your 7 steps. And so, should I rent or own? Let's look at the big picture. All of these videos these are short, great videos on each of these topics. So they can watch the video and then they can open a calculator. Each of these has some kind of calculator or step. So, open the big picture. The big picture is kind of instead of a rent versus own, like pinning one against the other. It's instead looking at what does it mean to be a homeowner over the span of 10 years or whatever. it's more than just what does it look like today. It's helping people take a step back and say, okay, it's not just that, because in a lot of places like my market, it is cheaper to rent. And so, but you want to look at what does this mean when you buy a home? You don't just stop buying or being a homeowner in 5 years. You probably buy a different home. And so that's kind of what this step is about. You can drop some notes in here, save to the plan, and then it goes to step number two, building a budget that fits for your life and walks through what it means to have a budget. And there's some steps to go through, or you can just go straight to a spreadsheet if you want to. We use the 50/30/20 rule around this, and then you can copy the summary or drop the number in here of, let's say, here's my budget. I want to save that, and then save to my plan. So, other quick principle is it's about getting some quick dopamine. You get the confetti. You're taking step by step. You can always pause any moment. I'm going to walk through just a real quick. Well, I'm going to show you the down payment calculator. Other thing too is that's important is you're looking at monthly budget or home price for any of the affordability options or calculators so that people can see, because a lot of times looking at home price is not accessible to someone at this stage in the home buying process. And then comparisons side by side is really helpful. A lot of people think that PMI is a whole lot more expensive, and you may even realize, oh, it's actually, less and whatever. So you can adjust those. Um, so again, this is for the consumer. If you're using something like Mortgage Coach, you're able to send this stuff over to them, and that's really helpful. But you might be putting something like that in. This is for them to use and drop in, you know, question on PMI, save to plan. Okay, so I'm gonna finish with let's see, there's debt, there's path to front door, the affordability calculator also is what's my monthly budget versus what maximum can I borrow. That's also something that I hear constantly people talking about that confuses them and it's not real, it feels distrusting. So this is another way to do that. Um and then you can go to my plan and it repeats, here's why you're here. Here's what you said you wanted to focus on. So you can go directly there. And then here's your snapshot of what we've put in so far and any questions that you've put in here. And then you can download that or email the plan and email the plan ideally to you. You can also, if you're an ambassador, we're going to put this into your landing page and it will automatically send to you. So that's going to be helpful. That's going to be stage two. So we're not there yet, but um, okay. And then real quick under explore resources, first of all, this is only possible because of anyone who contributes to First Home IQ. Our ambassadors contribute 80% of our funding, and we would not be able to do this without any of you. So thank you to all of you who are part of the program or donating. Um, and then we have our other resources in here. We've got our courses. Oh, let me show you the um, courses from here because I'm already signed in. Um, so the courses are also redesigned, quick like quick overview, has one step and then you can continue. So that's that's that one. And then last thing I wanted to share is you can go through all the calculators here and the games. So I'm gonna have here in just a second have Jacqueline share her experience using the Jeopardy game. But this is eventually we'll have a teach site that's just for for you guys and this type of content. But the games are here. You go click play, and then you can choose a version of this that you want. And then you can edit these questions if you want to. You can make daily doubles. And then you just hit play game, and let's say there's two teams, and then you put this on, and you have people answer. You can show the answer and give an explanation and say, okay, team one got it. Um, and go through, and then at the end of the game it will tell you who won. So anyway, that's kind of how you play. There's a couple other games in there as well, but just want to make sure you guys know all about the games and what's available through that. So okay, that's the quick demo. Again, really, this has been a long time coming of putting together what it looks like to not only educate but nurture people along the way. So thank you all for contributing, and really please play around with it, use it, share it with people, and give feedback, positive or negative. We will continue to improve this, and I would really like to hear whether it be, yeah, like I got stuck at this point, or I would like to see something at this point, or a testimonial. All of that helps us build, grow, and improve. And on that, I want to loop in Jacqueline. And before I do, I'm going to pull up an example that I just so appreciated. Jacqueline posted in our community a few months ago. She said she was going to um, do a presentation in with a classroom, and she was like, I'm going to use this, but this slide deck, but would like to have something a little bit more engaging. She had thought about a game show or Jeopardy style type of thing, and any ideas. And so we had some discussion, and that was really inspiring. And so then we put together that Jeopardy game that I just showed you. And we've had a lot of other ambassadors use that same game and talk about how impactful that has been. So first and foremost, thank you, Jacqueline, for speaking up, and then for actually, I know you've been a long time educator, but wanted to have you share a little bit about, what does it look like to educate in your community, and what kinds of things are you doing?
So what I did, it's one high school in particular that I've been invited back to 3 times, and then I also teach homebuyer education classes to the staff at the Boys and Girls Club. So I use the content in both places. I haven't used the game yet at the Boys and Girls Club, but I did use it just this most recent time. So that was the third time that I taught there. And the first 2 times, the group of kids, it's a lower income school. It's kind of like if you don't make it here school, you're going to get kicked out, and there's going to be alternatives and things like that. So a lot of the kids don't actually want to be there, which I wasn't aware of the first time I went to teach the class. And so it was very uncomfortable just talking at them. And I'm like, oh, I'll do this and this will engage them. And then I'm like, no, these are 14-year-olds. They don't actually care what I'm saying. So I bribe them with candy. I've done like, hey, if you do this book report, I'll give you a $50 gift card, but you have to do the book report and that kind of thing. And I just wasn't getting any engagement. But they were asking really good questions during the course of the class the first 2 times that I did it. And so my husband's a teacher in a high school, so I was talking to him and getting some feedback. And then I talked to my friend, and so that's when she's like, "Could you do a game?" And I'm like, "Sure." I'd have no idea how to create something like this. So I'm grateful that you had something already in the works. What I ended up doing is I did like a 20-minute presentation, I think, on through the slide deck that I've had in the past, and I just condensed it a little bit, and then the rest of it got made up of the game show. And the kids actually knew quite a bit more in there than I was prepared for. I was like pleasantly surprised at how much they knew. Extremely engaged, got very competitive because I basically told them, I was like, okay, whatever team wins, your teacher's going to send me your guys' favorite snacks, and I'll send a big care package of stuff to the school. And so they were all like getting a little aggressive with like, no, I was the first one. So it was fun to get that kind of engagement. And then I ended up sending just a huge package to the entire group of kids that went in there, just because it's like, hey, you showed up today. That's important. That's half the battle. And nearly all of them participated. So it was a very good conversation. A couple of kids came up to me after the fact and just asked some additional questions. A couple of teachers have come up to me after the fact and asked some questions. So overall, it's been a really good experience. And I think adding the game show component, especially in high school, and probably in the lower grades, if we start exploring that a little bit more, at least on my side, will be really beneficial because they're just going to pay attention and be more engaged. And these kids are already competitive. So giving them something to be competitive with and take away some learning pieces has been really beneficial.
And now that we have this structure in place, it's really easy for us to adapt this to different groups. So if you do go to lower grades, let me know and we can create things that are more at their age level. And same goes for anyone on this call. Is there anything that I mean, Jacqueline, you've been growing your business, like, I mean, shifting a little bit, but you've been growing your business quite a bit over the last year and have been, you know, a longtime donor here. So appreciative of all of the support that you've done to make this possible. But would love to have you share, you know, what have you found has helped to build trust in your market, especially with first-time home buyers? I mean, clearly you're involved in your community, so I'm assuming that's one of those. But would love to have you share any other insights that you have.
I mean, nothing spectacular. I position myself as a resource and someone here. It's like you can ask me questions. I've moved office locations recently, and so I'm in a little bit more convenient location. And I've actually had quite a few clients start opting to come into the office and walk through options together. So that's been really hugely beneficial. And they've all said that, like, hey, this was way more helpful than anything else that I've done so far. A lot of times I'm being shopped when they come in. And after that meeting, I'm not getting shopped anymore. So that creates a really high level of trust there. And then I've started doing like not so much homebuyer education classes just because I feel those are really hard to get attendance at, but I've started doing like, hey, me and a real estate agent are going to be at this coffee shop from 12 to 2 and we'll buy your coffee and we're going to be over here answering questions. And I've done some stuff around like mortgages and brunch and things like that and getting a little bit smaller groups of like friends together to and like, hey, I've talked to this client and they've got 5 friends. So it's like, hey, bring them over, let's go grab breakfast and we'll talk. And so just creating a little bit more of a conversational environment from that perspective has been really helpful. I think remembering that the most people that we're talking to have no idea what any of the acronyms that we throw at them are. And if they tell you to explain it to them like they're in 5th grade, you need to explain it to them like they're in 5th grade. Like that's what they want, that's what they've asked for, and that's how they're going to trust you because not only are you explaining it in a way that they can digest the information and then retain it, but they also know that you're actually listening to them when they said it. Because I can't tell you how many clients I'm hearing from recently that are saying, yeah, I told them that I didn't know what I was doing and I need them to explain it to me like I was dumb. And I was like, well, first of all, we're not going to call ourselves dumb. We'll just like we'll kidify it, we'll 5th grade it, and that's fine. But also it's like they're actually listening to me when I said it. So they'll be like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll totally do that. And then they jump into their like spiel that they would give to somebody who's bought 16 houses. And it's like, that just doesn't work. And that's where you're going to get people who are going to AI first and asking some questions. And you can tell when they've done that. And because I get some really interesting questions sometimes where I'm like, okay, what weird AI system are you using that generated this one? And then just tell, like, don't be annoyed when they ask you the same question a million times. Like that's what they're supposed to do. Like act like it's your 5-year-old kid asking you this question, asking to understand, because if they trust you, they'll make sure all of their friends trust you. And then that can just grow exponentially when you have that level of trust within a community of people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think money specifically too, there's so much attached to it, money and home. And so those are big areas that cause a shutdown in the brain anyway. There's another part of that presentation that I do that I talk about how financial stress really like kind of can lower your IQ. And it's just, they've found in research, it can lower it by 13 points. I feel like for me, it's even more than that. When I'm dealing with my own financial, you know, advisor or something like that, I feel like I forget everything. And so I think it's easy to forget how, it's not just about like that people don't know this information, it's that it's not sticking with them, you know, and that they're freezing up around it because we have unlimited access to information now, and yet we're still not, only 8% accurately identify the minimum down payment required to buy a home year over year on our financial literacy quiz. Um, So anyway, I love that. We did a event at a actually it was just an event location, but we had a bar set up where people could get drinks for free, and then we had a loan officer, real estate agent, title agent, and insurance person talk for 5 minutes about each of their areas, and then do Q&A. And I loved that format because it wasn't just a let me tell you the home buying process. It was like let's have a conversation. So I like those examples that you're sharing too.
Yeah.
Any questions from anybody for Jacqueline? Cool. Well, thank you,
Jacqueline,
Jacqueline.
where is your new location? Is it over on Pearl?
Yeah. Yeah. I moved back over to the Pearl Street location. It's
I'm gonna
much,
come
much
see you
better.
next time I'm there. Best coffee shop
Perfect.
right down the street, best taco
Yeah.
place.
Yep.
Nice. Congrats.
Thanks.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for sharing. And I just realized I think I pinned us instead of spotlighted us. I'm going to spotlight so everyone can. Um, okay, Abdel, hi. Thank you for being here. Um,
Absolutely.
so I am, let's see, there we go. Now everyone can see us. Okay. Um, So I'm going to ask you the same thing. I mean, you've been doing some th really unique things with AI and education. I just want you to share a little bit about what you've been doing to reach first-time home buyers and specifically, in today's market.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're heavily invested in artificial intelligence, really from a hyper local presence side too. So whether it's blogs, right? The team writes 2 blogs every single day, posts it on 5 channels, right? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google My Business Profile, and Substack. So that's been really powerful. I loved what Jacqueline shared in terms of the education side. I mean, we have our Got Mortgage Cares. I have a lot of the stuff that you guys put together, right, on our website, giving you credit because you guys did a phenomenal job of putting it together. And who are we to try to reinvent it? And we're going out to high schools consistently and teaching this stuff, right? And of course, just like anything, once you do it once and you knock it out of the park, every other school wants you there, right? I think the stat, and I think I got this off your website, right? 82% of next gen people don't know about the mortgage process, and then less than 50% would rather use a artificial intelligence bot than a human being. So what we're using is we're obviously leveraging a lot of it more to come up where if you're going on chat, it's it's arguably if you search best mortgage lender in Eatontown, New Jersey, right, we're going to come up, right? And if we don't, then there's a problem. Um, and we're trying to just make it simple. I mean, we use Mortgage Coach, and Mortgage Coach is a new platform with the AI for every single consumer. And we don't wait for the consumer to ask about their monthly payments. We're telling them immediately from the beginning at the application stage. Education side is set, right? We've gotmortgageuniversity.com is a full-blown vault of 4,000 plus PDFs and guides about buying a house. That trust factor is established, right? Where there by 10 minutes into a conversation, my team has fired out so much stuff to you from a YouTube channel for content, from this side if you're a visual person, from a full-blown email articulation with about like 10 different resources, and we're housing everything in one shot. It may seem a little overwhelming at first to the consumer, so we're also kind of prepping in advance as to who is that target audience. Are they a millennial? Are they a Gen Z? Because based on that approach is how we're going to try to articulate the conversation from there.
That's amazing. And tell me a little bit about what that looks like when you're going into high schools and actually doing like presenting.
Yeah, so I think I shared with you the housing link. We've been really spending time in that because I've got so much and I get so excited to share the stuff that it was a little overwhelming. So we organize everything. But what we basically do is I just did one last month in Rahway, New Jersey, fairly to an extent urban area, right? So I also know the target audience. So this was a few of the people from the Rahway ROTC. So talking about military, talking about aspirations, talking about career. So that's kind of like the gateway into, teaching this younger generation about, make sure you actually go do what you want to do, not your parents want you to be a doctor or a lawyer and things like that, right? So we kind of go into that and then it slowly starts shifting into it, right? I went to school at Rutgers, which is a local university. I went back and got my master's in Montclair State. And I actually used my careers, right? I used my degrees in an effort, right? It was in business and it was in finance, and I did risk and compliance for my master's. So you try to teach these kids, and then we basically had to get like thrown out because the kids kept asking questions. And to Jackie's point too, we keep it super conversational, right? It's not me preaching about how much money we make. And of course, some of these kids, and Trevor is on the call today. Trevor is my business development manager. I mean, some of these kids have no filter, which is the funniest thing. Because they'd be like, well, how much money do you have in your bank account? And how many properties do you own? And what else are you invested in aside from real estate? And I'm like, damn, I'm getting grilled here. But you have fun along the way. But we're coming in there again. It's generally a PowerPoint presentation. We will always bring printouts with us too. So it's generally 4 printouts, a summary of what I'm going to actually give them, a 2 infographics, one that's a little bit more visual and another one that's a little bit more broken down. And then the last one, which is like my favorite, is what's most important to you. And it's like an interactive thing that the kids can fill out with their parents. And we ask them basically for their parents' signatures. And I say, make sure you guys do this because I'm going to go back to your gunnery sergeant at that point, or I'm going to go back to your teacher. And we're also going to be making sure that we're keeping you guys accountable to getting this done. And a lot of it are like, people who are in 10th, 11th, 12th grade. So have aspirations for internships, have aspirations for that stuff, but also the parents now. I mean, we've gotten several mortgages from this too, because the parents are like, "Hey, dude, we need help. Like we need this guidance. We need potentially credit consulting. We need potentially things like that." And that's really kind of the way that we've been positioning it amongst a million other things, or at least the parents can. Some of the parents like friend requesting us on social media because they're seeing that we're doing this. This isn't a revenue play for us, right? This is something that, my kids get because just how I am. So I'm like, oh, if I could put all this stuff together, one, make it a mission to make such a strong hyper local impact in our community. But at the same time, there's also potential opportunities to get deals from this too, right? And that's not the goal, but hey, I'll sprinkle a couple deals here and there because I'm taking care of them, and then you kind of take it from there.
Yeah, and I also do think that, I mean, this is where the double bottom line comes together in this kind of impact and income, but you build a brand as someone who gives back, as someone who cares about their community, puts their money where their mouth is, so to speak. But it's then people trust you. And it is it's something that you can I mean, I don't know if you talk about it very much, but I think that does lead to people really believing in what you're saying, So,
Yeah. And
um,
we built the same too with our referral partners. So we're teaching our referral partners now, I run our mastermind about AI, about technology, about simple sales frameworks, about basics on content and social media. So we're trying our best to, hey, dude, this is just what we do on a daily basis. This is what's allowed us to continue to grow our business, and we're just giving back. And again, this is not a revenue play for me. This is me sharing stuff for you that I've learned because you may simultaneously, Jackie might be doing something that's super, super cool that I want to learn from her. Right. And then us being able to compare notes and share those ideas and give you that playbook, right, is only going to build that camaraderie and law of reciprocity along the way. So,
yeah, absolutely. That's great. Anybody have any questions for Abdel? For each one of you, I know I could ask you a ton of questions, and we'll probably have you back on. And I do want to thank you. You also donated for specifically this project at Modern Warrior Summit. So again, that's just so grateful for your support,
absolutely.
and also your excitement and your passion. I think really helps to. I don't know, inspire others. So I hope others are inspired by everything you've shared today. But
And
thank
listen, the
you.
biggest part, guys, is just take it one step at a time, right? For me, I've always learned that over the years because I just like vomit so much stuff, right? Pick one thing, right? Who's that target community? Who's that target audience? The cool part is we don't have to recreate the resources. The resources are there. Right? And now with the power of artificial intelligence, you could basically grab the hard work that Kristen and everything and the team have done and say, throw my logo in the corner right, or the target audience might not be, right? Like I've gone to my son's classroom. He's 6 years old. What the heck am I going to talk to these kids about, home ownership and this and that? So I shift it more into like the power of respect, right? I always say the four F's: faith, family, fitness, finance. So so having fun with it along the way. And now the same thing. Now the teachers are like, hey, the other teacher is talking about this. Can you guys come back? So I think having that opportunity again, and then the business in itself will follow.
Yeah. To both of your points around the engagement, I think whenever you are authentic and they feel comfortable being able to talk to you, I mean, when I did even a virtual class in this school in Brooklyn, I was shocked with how many questions the kids had. And you kind of initially had to say like, ask your questions, whatever. And we would start everything with something that related specifically to them, like what does money mean to you or whatever. But then it was like the floodgates opened and people just had specific questions about real estate that I was really surprised how deep actually went. And so, yeah, it's exciting. If anyone has any interest and isn't already doing education, Guillermo, I see you on the call. I know you've done a ton on this, but reach out and would love to support you guys. And I know other ambassadors on this call would love to support you as well. So, all right, thank you so much, Abdel.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna loop in Jordan here. If you're ready.
Yes.
Jordan, hi. You
Hi.
have done a ton of cool education and uniquely, and you still remain our number one quiz respondents. So many people take your quiz. So I know you are doing, of course, a ton on social media, but you've also done a ton in the classroom. Would love for you to share just a little bit about your education approach to start.
Yeah, so um, back in 2024, I had crazy enough branded an RV, and my family and I drove across the country, and the goal was to bring financial literacy to schools, YMCA's, libraries, teach on building a brand to agents. So it was kind of like two two things in one. And I remember we were able to get into a school in Virginia, and this was like a specialty school. And the teacher had watched that I was on tour, and then she was like, "Hey, can you come to our school? I follow you. Please come here." And so that's how I was able to get on or get into that class. And Kristen, I don't know if you remember, right? This is like 2 years ago now, but I was like, "What am I going to teach? Like, I've never taught in a school before." Um, and if nobody's taught in a high school, it feels very intimidating. Like I can go speak in front of like hundreds of like adults, but when it comes to high schoolers, I'm like sweating. I'm like, this is a whole different level. And so I went there, and I got to speak to them, and this was right before we had games and stuff, but it still went really well. And like I had teachers that were asking questions, and I remember leaving there crying, and I was like, how did I just teach teachers? Like this is wild to me. Um, and it was just a really great experience. And now, thankfully, we are stationary and have been for a while, but we have a pretty prominent high school where my office is. And so they asked me to do the job fair every year. And this year, when I went to do it, I had reached out and I was like, can I please come teach financial literacy? Like, I know that this school has to have some sort of like finance class. And thankfully, I was able to get in contact with the teacher, and she has two classes that rotate through. So I actually went back to back days. And the first day I did it was the game, but it was like the quiz or something. Then the second day I ended up doing Jeopardy. Um, and again, two different groups, and they were pretty small groups, but it's interesting to play like the games with the students, and they really receive it well, and they get competitive, and I broke them up into teams, and it's funny like watching the teacher, and she's like, you guys should know this question. We just went over this last week or whatnot. But she really enjoyed it, and she appreciated me coming in, and I'll do the fair again next year. So if it's something that you're trying to get into, if there's a job fair, I would recommend trying to go and set up there. But then it allowed me to get into the school and actually teach a class, which was really fun. So it was received well. And Kristen, I don't think I had mentioned this to you, but on the quiz, the first home or the show, sorry, is there a way we can? I know there's like you can pick categories, but is there any way we can like do our own, like pick questions from each of them? Is there a way we can set that up? Because I'm like, some of them felt
Oh,
like they
yeah.
were great, but I was like, I'd love just like these 3 questions from here and like these 5 questions from here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way we could do that, but
Of
they
course.
both of them were received well. I think Jeopardy worked a lot better for the team. And then I ended up bringing like candy with me at the end, and then the team got to get, candy, and they were super excited about it. So,
Yeah. So we can do anything you want with these games. So if you if you're like, as you do them and you're like these, questions didn't work or I want customization around this, whatever, you just let me know. So
okay.
absolutely, we'll make those updates. And then and she's referring to the first Home IQ quiz show. That was a specific request from an ambassador for that one. And I like the idea. It's, trivia type of thing. One thing that I don't know if anybody has done, but there's a would you rather. And this one's fun because you can choose any of these topics, but you divide the room into two and have like, people or when they are responding. So you click on it and then you say, okay, have one credit or would you rather have one credit card and use it carefully or never get a credit card at all? And usually there's like a right answer, but sometimes there's not. It's kind of a preference. And you have people go to either side of the room and then have them discuss and say, like, okay, why'd you decide to go over here? Why'd you decide to go over here? And like, let's say, this one, the pros and cons, and you can talk about the pros and cons. So it's more of a discussion oriented game, although there is less of a somebody wins. So probably with that group there, you want the competition going. So we can think about how to make it competitive as well. But yeah, that's awesome. So, and I realized I started when I was a social worker, I was doing classes. It was on sex ed for high school students, and it was kind of horrific. I mean, I think it's what allowed me to become a speaker later because it was just like you're just getting slammed with either cold wall or like crazy questions. And of course, I mean, my topic elicited crazy questions, but so does finances. And so, I think that ultimately it's really, really, it builds connection and meaning. And I think there's a lot of not only connection with like giving back, but also, as others have said, we've heard from a lot of people that build connection with teachers and parents through this. So Jordan, can you share a little bit about what you found? This is a little bit different angle, but through the education that you do on social media, anything that is, tips that you can share for being, reaching first-time home buyers through social media.
Yeah, so I really break it down. And if I don't do a good enough job of breaking it down, like I just did a credit card, like you're probably paying your credit card wrong. And I had so many questions that I have to do another video because I didn't script that one. Like I didn't put it into AI. I just went off and did it. And I realized that there were a couple things that I missed. And I've done this video a few times over the years. And this one just, it worked really well and a lot of people saved it, but there were a couple things that I missed. So generally, you have to break it down like fifth grade, right? Like we're not talking about, oh, your DTI, if your DTI is here or the LTV is at this mark, right? We really have to break it down. And so with how I present that information. And sometimes I'll do like I've done credit series. I've done bankruptcy series, like I've done all kinds of different things, but breaking it and bringing it back to the basics. And I know, especially anyone that's been in the business for a long time, it's like it feels very repetitive of like, oh, you should know that it doesn't take 20% down, but there's so many people, like Kristen was saying, that unfortunately don't. And so you could make a video, it could be the same topic of earnest money or debt to income or anything like that. And you could make that video in different forms and post it once a week, and nobody would know that have done it every week for the last month, right? Because you can structure it differently and it will reach a new audience. So I think if the goal is to reach first-time home buyers and that's your passion, is one, think of a series, right? Go to answerthepublic.com or go into Claude Cowork and figure out with like Reddit, like what are first time home buyers struggling with when it comes to questions, and make a series off of that, like a whole series on down payments or a whole series on credit scores or whatnot. So then you can become the resource of, hey, this person's giving a lot of information, they're really helping out, and they're giving it for free. They feel trustworthy. And what I learned is I always have to do a call to action because I stopped doing it for a while and realized that a lot of people fell off. And then I'd get comments of, oh, thank you so much. Like I was able to close last week. And I'm like, why didn't you come and close with me? So I have a Calendly in my links that I allow for 15-20 minute calls, and they're free calls. There's no strings attached. There's no pressure on them. And I only open it up for like I think 2 or 3 days a week where people can schedule it, but it allows a safe space for them to come and ask me the questions. And I'm like, now it's up to you. Like the ball is in your court. I'm happy to do an application. We don't have to. Like but normally after that call, they're ready to do an application. Or if they're not, going to buy for another year, they always come back and, we start the conversation over and we go from there. So I would definitely recommend breaking it down to the basics, having a free resource for them to reach out and ask additional questions. And then also just not, selling them if they do reach out via phone or anything like that.
So good. That's super, super helpful. And I think that's why people can trust you is because they feel empowered and not sold to. So yeah, well, thank you so much, Jordan, for
Yeah.
jumping on and also
Thank
for
you.
all the education that you do. You're a fantastic ambassador and leader in the community. So.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna share with you guys real quick. If you are not already part of the community, I'll drop this link in the chat, but we have free resources. It just reminded me as Jordan was talking about this that we do, if you go into the research, this is our three pillars, research, education, and advocacy, you can go in and pull from any of our reports and create videos on that. So that's one way that you could create education content. We also have some education in here. Some of these links probably need to be updated since our new portal launched today, but we can go to talk about the learn resources that are freely available. And we do have one free presentation in here that is you guys can use that to talk about basic money 101, some outreach, social content. And then if you are an ambassador, you have your own landing page with education resources like the quiz that we talked about with Jordan. There's a presentation library of resources that we're going to continue to grow and customize. And then the one I wanted to mention here is there's tons of playbooks. So if you guys are an ambassador, you can go in and see, for example, video scripts that we've put together that are based off of the NextGen Homebuyer report and other resources that we have, or a prompt to create your own. So with captions and all of that. So this is all, again, stuff that people have asked for in the community. And so part of this, sharing this is make use of it. If it's something that you want to use to attract more first-time home buyers in your market, and ask for other things. If you are someone that, you're an ambassador or you're just part of the community, we want to hear from you and we will build resources based off of what you share. This entire resource library is just that. It's people saying, hey, don't know how to communicate well with first-time home buyers. I'm always using jargon. So we created a playbook with exact scripting, and say this, not that, and you can upload this to your AI and audit your marketing resources. So anyway, I just want to give you guys a quick share on that. And then I'll also link to the ambassador program if you're interested in exploring that. Again, it does support everything that we're doing, and then you can align with the nonprofit and access those resources. So, um, Dave, anything that you want to add as we're starting to close out?
Well, first of all, big thank yous to everyone that is part of this, that just showed up to learn. And then Jordan, it's been a long time. Great seeing you. Everyone who shared stories. Love the games, Jacqueline, and love where your new office is. I'll definitely be stopping by there next time I'm in Denver. And no, just appreciate it. And Kristen, you're doing an incredible job. It's really exciting.
Okay, thank you so much. Any questions or comments from anybody here on the call? I'll remove my spotlights so you can see everybody. All right. Well, if you have any questions or any ideas, anything at all, comments on the new platform, reach out to me. You can email me at kristen@firsthomeIQ.com and or text me, whatever. But we'd love to hear from you and continue to grow together. This has been a community-wide effort, and we're just so appreciative of all of you guys being educators in your market. So have a great week,
Take care, everybody.
everybody.